allowed?
Yep.
All right. So officially, from here on out, everything that you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have a right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one will be appointed to you.
And no member.
Someone's been arrested.
That's why I moved into podcasting. It's a hell of a lot
Listen, we don't
safer.
talk about that.
So we spent probably an hour and 45 minutes, maybe 2 hours talking about what's broken in the gaming community with Toxicity. So why don't we switch gears and finish this out by talking about maybe some suggested fixes, some things that we can do differently, some ideas that we had to maybe combat this, to maybe push it back in the other direction to try to fucking save this crazy culture of gaming, because it's not where it needs to be and it can be a lot better. So Jett, if you don't mind, why don't you kick it off? What I'd like us to do is each talk about the 3 points, combine them if you like to, but how would you fix social media gamer toxicity? How would you fix in-person gaming toxicity? How would you fix online gaming toxicity? Jett, the floor is yours.
Honestly, a lot of these will stem into one core thing, accountability and empathy. Empathy is one of those things not a lot of people get talked about and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We see these people across the screens from us as just faceless nobodies. And we're not taught as a society anymore that these are real people. They have feelings, they have good days, they have bad days, they have loved ones just like we do. And until we can get them to understand that these are real humans, I don't know if it'll ever change. We may mitigate some of this stuff, but we'll still have those trolls out there that are just spitting vitriol. We'll just have them. For social media, getting rid of a lot of the anonymity. Like, you don't have something to hide behind. A lot of these people will, they'll probably think twice about some of the stuff they say when they post, because like we've seen kind of the flip side of this, not necessarily the gaming aspect of it, but when these racist stuff get blasted online and then it starts affecting real world, maybe it gets to that point where like, hey, you're being an asshole. Like, let's talk to your family about it.
Absolutely.
Like, are you an asshole to them too? Because you may just need some fucking help.
Well, and like there's that case where a teenage girl via text was convincing her friend to commit suicide.
Her
and just
boyfriend.
Yeah, so just going at him and going at him and going at him and going at him. And to me, like, that requires accountability. That requires a court case. And I think that there's a lot more of that shit out there than we probably realize, but there's nothing to tie anything to anybody else. There's no name to the face. It's new Master 69 over and over and over. There's nothing there. I think that's a really salient point.
XX.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
The in-person toxicity, again, the empathy aspect of it too rolls in the fact that I don't necessarily always advocate for violence, but one of these days somebody's going to get popped in the mouth, and that may teach them. Like, we've all lipped off every once in a while, and like some of these kids, I've seen it at work actually. 17-year-old doing a trade and didn't get what he thought he was going to. Mom's like, look, you're old enough. You're buying your games from now on. He turns around and looks at her, goes, no, you're fucking paying for it. She didn't blink, backhanded him, grabbed him off the floor one-handed, picked him up by the ear, thank you, gentlemen, walked out the damn door.
Respect.
Like,
hell yeah.
Bravo.
Mom of the year.
Hell
Every
yeah.
once in a while, that's got to happen. Like, I don't advocate for any kind of abuse or anything like that, but
a reality
sometimes
check.
a pop in the mouth.
Absolutely.
Yeah, is that aspect of it. And then the online, it's the anonymity. Like you said, you get Pussy Destroyer 69XX or whatever the case may be. Like, all right, you're gonna start sending those dick.
Sammy's face.
Yeah. You're gonna get those. You're gonna get those dick pics out. Cool. Let's see what your mother thinks about this.
Yep.
it boils down to empathy and accountability.
Cool.
Like,
Yeah, I think that's a really good
the
point.
two big words.
All right, what about you, Sami? Social media, in person, and online gaming. How you fixing it?
So I think, going to build off what he said, empathy is the biggest thing for it, because how often and I'm going to say this kind of as a broad generalization, men are shamed for having empathy because then they quote unquote wear their heart on their sleeve and they're being emotional, right? So we need to take that, get rid of it. It's not a thing. You feel for other people.
Isn't that called toxic masculinity in
Yes.
general? Yeah, so very much on brand for what we're talking about.
Yep, that needs to go. And then conversations like this, like, I've never met you before and I didn't know how this was going to go, but it went very well because we had open dialogue.
Thank you. I think so too.
But you guys, for the main part, as a woman on a podcast, I didn't feel overtalked, I didn't feel ignored, and I didn't feel dismissed.
Oh, sweet. Good.
And
I'm glad. That would suck. I couldn't get a fucking word in. Those guys were awful.
So I think accountability, empathy, and then conversation, like giving women a voice and hearing them out. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Zombie Kills, but she's a streamer on Twitch, and she's a very boisterous, loud, funny Black woman who's talking about these issues and is very vocal, and she's having these roundtables. Those conversations are allowing us to be like, don't you fucking treat me this way. And I think that kind of accountability is what's going to make the difference.
Yeah, good.
And that covers all three. That's how I would fix it.
Cool. I love it. Brylander?
I would go. I kind of like their point of view. Really, the whole empathy and accountability thing. Again, like the women who are sending screenshots of the horrid things guys are saying, send it to their moms. Like, hey, this is what your shitbag son's doing. Honestly, I think more of that needs to happen.
Yeah.
I think to fix it, it's a long-term fix, but I think it really comes down to us as parents too. Making sure that we're not raising little shitheads, that we're raising respectable, functioning members of society. Like, again, my kid's real young, and he doesn't really understand like the big picture here. But like, we're now just trying to start talks of like, every now and again, he's a little dickhead to me and his mom, and we're trying to start the conversation of like, hey man, your words hurt. That thing you just said to mommy was super uncalled for, man. It was mean. It really hurt her feelings. She's sad now. So like, we're just trying to start those conversations now, so that hopefully when he's an adult, he has some level of empathy. He understands that like his words can really crush someone. So like, I think a lot of it, comes down to the parents need to do a better job of parenting. You need to take responsibility for the kid you're raising, and you need to teach them empathy and accountability, and that what they say does affect people. And I do think we need to we need to make people not so anonymous online. Which is a gray area too, because you need to respect someone's privacy, but also when they're being a shithead, like where's the line of like respecting their privacy, but also holding them accountable in the online space for their shithead actions.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
When they start threatening someone's safety, that's when you lose all rights to privacy, in my opinion.
I would agree with that. Which also, like, where the audacity and the arrogance of someone to think like a change they're making to a video game warrants a death threat. I'll never understand those people. Like,
I was personally upset by it because I have such a connection to the PlayStation 4 Peter Parker, which is what we're going to call it now, as opposed to the new version I just saw. But at no point was my response, let me kill the person who made that call. It was like, hey, I'm bummed out because I had such a great experience and now I feel like this is different, whatever. But for some reason, for other people, like, it triggers the decision to write a death threat. And that for me is like, how the fuck is that even okay? What happened to you in your life that's your go-to, or you're that unhinged that something like a video game graphic design difference is going to set you off? Like, you got way bigger problems than video games, man.
Sorry.
No, go ahead. I've interrupted
it's just
you
Bryar.
guys. Yeah.
You go ahead and you interrupt Bryar as much as you want.
I've interrupted you enough. Please, by all means.
We've normalized that behavior to come unhinged in the video game world, in the movie world. I mean, look, oh my God. It wasn't Harry Potter, but it was within that same vein. People came unhinged at a slight character change. I think it was in that
Artemis
play where they
Fowl?
made Hermione Granger black.
Oh, The Cursed Child, the play,
Yeah,
the stage
Cursed
play.
Child.
And we've normalized that behavior, and that's absolutely terrifying.
So when I worked at GameStop, that game, the book, playwright, novel, whatever you want to call it, it had just come out. So a lady walked in and we were talking about Harry Potter, and she's like, "Oh, is that the new one where the Hermione is black?" I'm like, "It's a screenplay. They're not anything. What are you talking about? It's just in the book." She's like, "Well, that's not my Hermione." And then she walked out. I'm like, "So did you just walk into a GameStop for no reason just to tell me you didn't like that the play version of Hermione was black and then leave? Like, what was the point of this?" I didn't sell the book. It was unwarranted. It had just come out at a different store. Like, it made zero sense to me. But for some reason, she felt entitled that she could say that because white-ass Ohio little town, she felt emboldened. It was very confusing.
I do
What were you
remember
gonna
both
do to
of
her?
us just taking off to buy that book and
Yeah,
turn.
and I can't punch her because she's like this little old lady. So, like, then I'm in trouble for punching an old lady. But she's a racist old lady, so that makes it okay, right? You know?
It probably cancels out.
I would think
kick
so.
her? I got nothing.
Yeah. Just kick
Well, now
out.
you can't even spit on her, so
Yeah.
that's illegal. Understandably so. You don't want the COVIDs.
Hands are tied.
Ugh.
All right, Bryar,
Ugh.
anything else on toxicity?
No, like I said, just we need to find a way to really start holding people accountable. And I like what some businesses are doing too. Like when they find out they're like, I'm of two minds of it. On one hand, I understand that like your online persona and your real life persona in a lot of cases are two separate things. Like you conduct yourself differently online versus how you conduct yourself like in a place of business. There's been a lot of people who have lost their job for their online persona. On like one hand, it sucks is like, you know, that person who you were online caused you to lose your job in real life. And like, that's unfortunate, but also like you were such a piece of shit online that your employer found out about it and thought to themselves, I don't want this person representing me in my company, and they shit canned you. And honestly, totally within their right to do that. I think it was a right move to do that. And it's just, I think more of that needs to happen too. Like, I think stuff like that where it affects people's like real lives needs to happen to really start to make people realize like you can't just put on the face mask of I'm online and no one knows who I am and just be a dickhead. Like there needs to be real world ramifications for your shitty online self.
Absolutely.
And I do think, you know, it's like I said, well within your employer's right that if they find out you're online throwing racial slurs and, you know, you're a closet white supremacist, you know, I think it's within their right. If that doesn't jive with their, you know, business model and how they want their business to be represented, I think it's, you know, within their right to shit can you and just get you out of that company.
And that's the thing, like about like the face mask issues that people don't understand is that these are private businesses. You don't have a right to shop there. You have the opportunity to shop there as long as you can adhere to their company policies. No shoes, no shirt, no service has been a thing. Like I grew up in Southern California and then I moved to Ohio.
I did
but
too.
like, yeah, but that was everywhere. No matter what store you walked into, you would see a sign, no shoes, no shirt, and service, because everybody's walking around with bare feet and no shirt and swim trunks on. That's just what you wore in Southern California. It wasn't new. It wasn't like they were being inappropriate. They were just about to go swimming in the ocean, so why would they wear something else? But if you wanted to go buy something, you had to put some fucking clothes on and then go in. That's not a difficult thing to understand to me, but for some people just don't understand, you know, if you're going to use these services, if you're going to go into these stores, if you're going to talk to these people, either you do it the way that you should do it, or you can't come in here anymore. You can't shop here anymore. You can't use these systems anymore. And I think that more of that should happen where they're actually deciding to put the well-being of people in general over the profits of the toxic people, which is what's been happening. And that's why it's so broken.
Well, like a lot of people are hiding behind the shield that is the First Amendment. Like, well, it gives me the right to, you know, to say whatever. Okay, fine. But what it doesn't do is protect you from what you said. It's not a guard against the ramifications of your actions. Yeah. You can say whatever, like you can say whatever to whoever, but that person can still just bop you in the jaw once. Like, yeah. It protects your words, but not the consequences of those words. And I think if, you know, you're going to fix just toxicity in general, not even so much for gaming, just in the world, like consequences need to take place and they need to be stepped up and they need to affect people in real life, in the real world, as opposed to the online world.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And with the online gaming toxicity, and now we have kids going to school online, like where are we drawing the line? Like, because they're still hiding behind a screen.
Yeah. Absolutely. And, but in like my daughter's online classes, there's a teacher present. She is watching what's happening. She is going to, if something happens, she's going to step in. And right now there's no oversight. That other person on Facebook had said that she had reported to an admin, this issue going on. And the response from the administrator was, hey, that's just boys and that's just the community. You got to get used to it. That's not a person who is actually holding on to the responsibilities as an administrator. And then I'll talk about that a little bit more in a second. Bryar, did you have anything else?
To go along with what you said, we really need to get rid of the whole "that's just boys being boys" thing.
Yeah,
that's got to go.
That shitty boys being boys and not growing up into men is what the problem is.
And that is boys being boys. Unfortunately, that's not a man being a man.
Yep.
And like, if I find out my son, as he grows up, starts pulling shit like that, I will destroy him.
Yeah, man.
He'll lose. I will take everything away from him. That boy will sit in a room with nothing. Because like, again, back to my point earlier, it's our job now as parents to make sure this shit stops here.
Yeah.
So like, I'm not going to raise a little asshole. Me and my wife have had multiple conversations on that. Like, we both acknowledge like it's our job to raise him to be a respectful person as opposed to just a disrespectful little shit.
That's the dream.
That's
for all
the dream.
Of us, for every parent everywhere.
So far, it's pretty good. My kid knows how to say please and thank you, and he does it without being told. So I mean, I'll take that win.
That's a win.
It's baby steps, but we'll take it.
All right.
That's more than most adults.
Yeah.
So for me, before we wrap up, my social media and online is linked together, and it's what's already been said. I think we should completely do away with online anonymity. I think that you should be allowed to browse what you want to online anonymously, buy what you want anonymously. But the second you come onto a social platform, you can talk to other people, you can have impact on other people, you can play games with other people. I think we need to kill that. In addition to, so my previous work was with GameStop. I'm a videographer now. I'm also a moderator on IGN.com. I've been doing that for a couple of years now. And the name that I have on my Facebook is the exact name that you find on IGN. It's devon.de.mccarty. Like, my name is on there because that's important to me. Because if I'm going to hold you accountable for what you say, you need to be able to tie back what I say to you. That's important to me. And even like on my my gamer tag on PlayStation, it's at designated Devon. Devon's in there. I always put my name in there because I want to have my own level of accountability. So if I say something that's wrong, somebody can find me and check me on it. And it also, in the back of my head, it's like, it's not that hard to find me. It's not that hard to research what I've said. So let's be very specific about what we're saying. Let's make sure, I can get mad. Yeah, I can get frustrated. I'll go after people, whatever, but my name's always with it because I'm always going to stand behind what I say. And I think that so far what I've seen is it's nothing but usernames, whatever configuration of interests or hobbies or colors or likes or whatever. It's, so Bryar, do you want to share what your PlayStation username is?
Well, technically it's my wife's because the PlayStation's technically hers.
Right, but
it's Rogue Panda Cat.
Jett, what's yours?
Psycho 24/7. SYKO 247.
Sami, what's yours?
Sami Slaughter 666.
So at least you got your name in there. But I mean,
yeah, I was 13.
But if we could do away with all of the anonymity, and then it does what everybody else said so far, is it holds you accountable for what you say. Mm-hmm. So then if somebody does flag you, and then it does, you do rise to the top, and then your job gets notified, hey man, do you know that when your person isn't playing games here, he's a piece of shit online? Yeah, he's playing Grand Theft Auto. We don't care what he's playing, but it's not what he's playing, it's what he's saying to other people. Is that the type of person you want working for your company? I think that's where we need to get to because, my business shouldn't care what I do on off hours. I disagree. I think if you're going to work for a company, it is important what you're like and what you believe and what you stand for and how you present yourself and how you treat other people. Like, that shit matters. And there's so far, if you're on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, or anywhere else, there's nothing to anchor you to anything that you say. And there's this just level of emboldened, toxic, waveforms, I guess, where they can just say whatever they want to whoever they want without any fear of reprisal. And that's what's got us here today. That's why people are making death threats online. That's why people are asking for news on a regular basis. That's why people are reaching out and saying whatever they want to because there's nothing to tie back. And I think that's got to stop. If we're going to fix that, I think that's where we got to start. We got to start there.
Well, to go along with that, though, quick counterpoint, there has to be a way to police and delete and stop fake accounts too. Because like realistically, there's nothing stopping me from grabbing your profile pic, starting a Facebook account under your name, and just going nuts with it.
Right.
And like, that's a real thing. And that has really affected a lot of people. Like, people have lost jobs and relationships and friends and homes and families because some asshole made a fake account under their name and just had a field day with it.
Right.
So like, I agree.
Companies do have to have some kind of administrative investigation purposes. Like, yeah, let's say I took your profile pic, went roughshod on it, but you can be like, no, look, here I was. This is what I was doing on these days. Here's the IP address. Like,
right.
Obviously it was not me. Cool, you're golden. You put out a statement that says, look, we researched this. This was not our associate. We're golden. Like, it's a simple prospect. It's just a costly one.
And so to me, I would sign up for that. I would be okay with that. Would you be into it? Like, would it be worth it to you to know that at any point your account could be banned, from playing online? Yeah, you can still play your games and shit like that. But every once in a while, if somebody tries to make a fake account on your behalf, really rake your name through the mud, that you would have to be part of an investigation to clear your name to make sure that that wasn't you. To me, I would opt into that because I know who I am. I know what I would say. I know what I would do. And so it would be worth the week or however long it would take for me to get my account access unbanned, because I know that at the end of the day, the entire community has been raised to a better level, because right now it's down here for the most part. And if we're going to get up here, I'll suffer a little bit and wait a little bit and then, clear my name to play again if it makes it better for everybody. I'm willing to make that sacrifice. Are you three?
As long as, like, okay, let's say it's Sony. We're talking PS5. I get banned. As long as Sony reaches out to me and goes, hey, look, here's the situation. This what was said. What is your side of the story? What do you have to defend yourself? Cool. If Sony just goes, no, we're shutting you down until we can figure it out, and you go, what the fuck? Then there's the issues. Like, you have to be able to defend, like, almost treat it like a court of law. You have to be able to defend yourself for these situations.
And I'll come back to that. I have an example about YouTube that I'm going to go into in a second, but I want Sami and Bryar to weigh in first.
Bryar, you go first.
I agree with Jett. Like, if I have the ability to defend myself and explain, like, hey man, this is what I was doing at this time, on this day, at this time, at this exact moment, and I can have IP addresses to back me, and like, this clearly was not me, I didn't do this, etc. If I can have the ability to present my case, as opposed to just Sony taking the reins and shutting me out until they do whatever, like, I don't trust them enough to really represent me and investigate that it wasn't me on their own. I want to be able to have the input and help with said investigation to clear the fact that it wasn't me online being an asshole, it was some other asshole under my name. If I have the ability to participate in that, in the clearing of my name, then yeah, 100%, I'm here for it.
I agree.
But
I agree too. Yep.
I just don't trust them to do a good enough job on their own without my input.
Cool.
Because it's my name. It's me being dragged through the mud. They really don't have anything into it. It's just them passively trying to see if some random person is who they say they are. Right. It doesn't matter to them as much as my name matters to me.
For sure.
But yeah.
Okay, now Sami.
I'm torn. Part of me wants to say yes, but part of me is absolutely not. Hear me out on this. One, sure. VPNs. I'm pretty avid about using them on my personal tech and then on my PlayStation. And then who's to say that someone isn't going to create a bot that someone can use my PlayStation to create a second profile to go do these things.
Right.
So the tech is there for this to go really smoothly, but there's also tech to make this the worst possible thing known to man.
Yeah.
So for me, part of me wants to say yes, because I do see the good in it. And I want to see the best in situations, but part of me also knows and is cynical enough to, that's never going to happen. You're ones and zeros to them. You're a statistic. Like, oh, this is the third time someone's made a bot. It's her. They're done. Yeah. I don't want to put up with that. I don't want to deal with that.
And that's fair. And that's my whole concern is on this can't be automated. If we're going to do this, you need to have real people who are investigating the cases that are presented. I don't give a shit what the volume is. Have people staffed to do it. The issue that I brought up a second ago about YouTube, we just did this episode on Enola Holmes. Bryar and Shelby broke it down. Movie just came out to Netflix. When I uploaded it to YouTube, it got flagged because for whatever reason, there's some issue with Enola Holmes and Netflix and copyright issues. I don't know what's going on with it. So it got flagged and I tried to appeal it. And so I was like, all right, maybe it's the title. Maybe they think I'm just uploading the movie without looking at it or listening to it, because there's not one audio clip or video clip of that movie in that episode. All it is Bryar and Shelby explaining what they went through. That's, what the experience was. And that we've been doing the same thing every single episode of Retcon Air. Like that's what the show is. But for some reason, and for some reason, YouTube just saw Enola Holmes and banned it. I tried 3 different times to use a different title structure to do something else. And each time it was completely banned and I had no recourse. There was nobody I could call, nobody I could email, nobody I could talk to. That's it. So that's the only episode that you'll never see on YouTube because it can't get there. Now I have to, it's on Spotify, iTunes, and everywhere else. But since it's an automated system, there's nothing I can do to stop it. It's a broken system.
And like they flagged it for the weirdest thing too. What was it? It was spam and
and deceitful practices and stuff like that. Yeah, like I was trying to talk about Enola Holmes and sell you something else, which is not at all what the show is. But it was automated and there was nothing I could do to stop it. So for me, my big concern would be if we go this route with no more anonymity, let's use specific names, and then somebody starts making bots and malware and starts, ruining people's accounts and stuff. If that system's automated, I think it's going to be a failure. If there's actual people manning it, then I think we can have some more success, but I think that would have to... That's a big cost. And who's going to eat that cost? Is it, does Sony have to have real people monitors? Does Xbox, does Switch, does online, and I think if we're going to really fix everything, to me, that's worthy expenditure, I think, but I'm not in game dev, so that's not up to me.
Yeah.
But we'll see. And then for in-person, I think we need to start empowering workers to not stand for bullshit anymore. No more Karens, no more Chads. If you're going to shop in a store, exactly like we just said, no shoes, no shirt, no service. Every business is a private business and has a policy. If you can't handle being an adult in a store, you can't shop there anymore. Get the fuck out. Go shop online. Go do curbside pickup, whatever. If you can't handle interacting with people in a way that's appropriate and responsible and is a human talking to another human, then I'm sorry, but you're not welcome to shop in our stores anymore. I think we've gotten away on this whole the customer's always right thing because corporations are designed to make money. GameStop has not had a great trajectory in the last couple of months through the pandemic, through some kind of bad word of mouth experiences, through a couple other things to where a lot of people are looking at GameStop as like, this is the next retail business to die. My problem with that is that people have taken that concept and have used it to just treat employees like shit. Jett, I don't know if it's gotten worse in the last, 8 months or 6 months or whatever of the pandemic, but I know when I was there, people just treated GameStop workers like shit. You guys are just stealing the games anyway. You guys are just throwing stuff in the dumpster anyway. You guys don't really care. You guys aren't really gamers. You guys are whatever, and. Yeah. None of that was true, but there was only so much I could say because I needed the job. I had bills to pay for and, was it worth it for me to lose my temper knowing that I could probably lose my job? And I think we need to remove that. I think you need to have really good accountability on what people can and cannot do as far as the employees. But then I think you need to have a really good barometer of like what the expectation is for your customers. The second you walk into this store, you act accordingly. If you can't handle that, the door's right there. You just walk through it. You walk right back through it and we'll see you around online. Happy to take your money or whatever else. But if you can't handle shopping with us, you can't shop with us. I think that needs to change immediately. It's dangerous enough that, Jett, if you have to go into store, Sami, if you have to go into your store, that's dangerous enough on its own, without having the extra layer of people just being complete, total assholes. But
I deal with cell phones for a living, and that is like people's number one. If their phone doesn't work, it's as bad as their car being broken.
Yeah, absolutely. They're trying to get those dick pics, man, and you can't get in the way of that.
I send those dick pics.
That's it. I think you get away with anonymity, and then I think you empower the workers to not handle any more bullshit. I'm not giving you an open pass to, like Jett was saying earlier, sometimes someone's going to get bopped. I think that there's some warrant for that. There's, one guy specifically that I remember that I was so close to quitting my job and clocking out and going, let's go outside right now because this job isn't worth it today. You are worth it today. You're my only focus. I'm not saying we get there, but I'm saying that we need to really switch the scale on the customers being right versus worker rights and equality and just general respect and just unfuck that whole thing because it's very broken.
Yeah.
I actually had some on this on my list too, and I completely forgot about it. Like, I agree with that. That like, employees need to be able to stand up for themselves without the fear of losing their job. Management, store managers, and all that need to stand up for their employees without the fear of repercussions from upper management. And upper management needs to take care of their employees at the bottom as well. Like, it just, they're the ones who see the people. They're the ones who need to, I mean, be protected, I guess, for lack of a better term. Like, you need to protect your employees. And I understand the customer's always right mentality, but like, it's got to go. It's got to stop. 9 out of 10 times that customer is just being an asshole because they know you can't do anything back to them. I mean, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I actually think COVID has killed the customer's always right mentality.
Good.
I really do. At least in our area, we're not like empowered to backtalk customers, but I've definitely been empowering my employees because I don't have a supervisor at the moment. Correcting or asking a customer to treat you differently is not bad customer service. That's probably been the toughest pill to swallow the last 8 months.
And so I've kind of seen the opposite. I've seen way more people outraged that they're being told to put their mask on, to stay away from other people, to, stand in front of the glass pane because that's why it's here. Don't stand over here where you can see me. Stand in front of this thing. That's why it's here, you stupid bastard. I just think some people just don't think for whatever reason, and they don't care, and then they get outraged because, it's my right as American to shop here. No, it's really, really not, and that's how dumb you are for not understanding that.
And like, to go along with that too, like, I'll even reference this example. Like, people can't say whatever because they want to. Like, there was one day while Devon was still the ASL, him and I were working together, and I watched him ban someone from our store because of the way they were talking. We at our location, there was a kids play area right outside our front door, because like it was it was right where like 3 hallways met. We were at the corner of it, and there's a play area right there for the little ones. This dude was trading a system, and he didn't have all the parts and pieces, so we couldn't accept it. So he was going to leave. We told him, like, either you get this small defective amount, or you just take it with you, or you go get the rest of the shit that you knew you needed to have and you come back. And he chose that option, but he was swearing us up and down as he left, and all the kids heard him because they all were staring at him. So the second he came back, Devon banned him from the store, just because, like, you can't do that. You can't act like that. You can't treat us like that because of your fuck up, for starters, and also because you're a grown-ass adult. Start acting like it.
And you came in here to sell me something that was not a complete system.
Yeah.
I told you I can't sell it because that's not how you bought it. You didn't buy it with missing pieces, because if you bought it with missing pieces, I'd imagine you'd flip out just like you're flipping out now. It's not worth it to me. It's not, the system wasn't worth it. The store wasn't worth it. The work, everything about that guy was ridiculous. Completely ridiculous.
Yeah, people need
choked out sometimes. I agree. Go ahead. If you're not going to say it, I'll say it. Sometimes people.
I mean, sometimes you just need to give people. You give someone the people's elbow. Just from the cash wrap. Just
smell what the rock is cooking. And go ahead and show them.
Yeah, I don't know. People just need to start acting like adults. Need to grow the hell up, and you can't just say whatever to retail workers because they can't say anything back to you because they lose their job. Like, that shit needs to go. Yeah. If a person's being an asshole, I mean, let the employee tell them they're being an asshole. Fuck it. Why
Are we
not?
not supposed to do that? Just kidding.
I mean, you're supposed to do it in a very professional
way. Before this
way.
roundtable, you weren't supposed to do that. After this roundtable, it's a whole new world, you guys. Gloves come off. Go have fun.
I got a customer complaint from a couple of weeks ago because of that. Didn't want to throw his mask in, and he got asthma overnight. So I rang him up and was like, "I should probably start shopping online because, I'm going to force this. Curbside's out there." Went to corporate.
My wife works for Cleveland Clinic, which is a pretty big hospital, and so she works with a physician who has been asked on countless times, "Can you write me a script to say that I can't wear my face mask because I have asthma?" He's like, "No, put your mask on. You can breathe fine. I don't care if you have asthma or not. Put your mask on." So like even doctors think that's insane.
Yep. Well, not in our area. Not in our area. We actually have not to get on politics, but county health department we have one lady that's anti-vax, anti-mask, and that this is a hoax. And she's
part of your health department?
Yep.
Well, that's exciting.
She also charged Medicare, so like the state insurance, for prayer. So like that's fine if that's your thing, but I am an outspoken atheist. I think everybody's choosing their own. But don't do that.
Well, and I have, beliefs and stuff, but like I don't think you charge for it. You don't.
You should go to the doctor for prayer.
Yeah. And those aren't billable hours. So that's a little bit different than I've ever seen before. That's a cool way to approach it though, right on Montana.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've been going for probably 2.5 hours. It's almost 1 a.m. where Brian and I are, but this conversation was worth it enough to me to keep going. No, you're fine. It was a really interesting conversation. I think that's why it went the way it went. So before we close it out, did any of you have any final thoughts about gaming toxicity, how we're going to fix it, or what's going on in the future?
If any of this offended the listeners, you listeners out there, all I'm going to ask is that you take a beat and you think about why.
Yep.
Why did this upset you and why are you offended? And then I want you to come back to this conversation with an open mind.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Just be better humans. Guys, that's all it takes. Just be better humans.
Yeah.
You can scope it. At the end of the day, that's what it'll boil down to. You're a better human. Everybody else around you will be better. And all of this will improve.
Yeah, what was it like? You're the most like the 5 or 10 people that you're around the most or whatever. And so if you're an asshole, the people you're going to influence are going to be assholes. If you're cool, the people you're going to influence are going to be cool. So it's what kind of world do you want to live in? Because I've been living in this one and it's been awful for a while. Oh, what about you, Bryar? Any other final thoughts?
I don't know. Maybe let's just everyone collectively start acting like adults. That'd be cool. I'm kind of tired of this, the comment I made earlier of no one leaves the high school mentality. Like, maybe we should, maybe we should go ahead and just leave high school behind us, start acting like grown-ass adults, stop shitting on people for having different interests, for playing a game on an easy difficulty versus your insane difficulty, for just... And quit getting so upset about online games. They are a game. It is supposed to be where you relax and chill out. Chill the hell out.
Get upset about actual matters like starving children.
Yeah, man, do something.
Be mad.
Because like at what point does game development overall just say, no, fuck you. No more DLC. No more games. You ungrateful bastards. Every time we make anything and we're going to be late. So we put in crunch into place, even though we said we weren't going to before because we're trying to get this online, done on time because you're going to freak out if we don't. And now we're going to get filleted for doing that. Like at some point you got to chill out and just acknowledge the fact that these are people that work jobs, that have families, that have friends that are just trying to pay their rent and then go home. And you have no right to flip out on them just because something's either not to your liking or taking too long or not as good as you thought it should be. It's completely ridiculous. So we spent, 3 hours or however long talking about this conversation. I hope that tells you how important this is, that, we had just met Jett and Sami right before this, whole podcast started, but we believed it enough to where we worked through it. We got to it and, we knocked this whole thing out. So it's a very, very important conversation to all of us. We hope, especially like Sami said, if you're offended about that, gut check yourself. What is it about that made you offended? Is it that you wanted to be able to say anything? Should you be able to say everything? Because so far we've seen your ability to say everything and it's not great. So why don't we go ahead and shut this down? Jett, Sami, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for being the first time collaborative guests on the Retcon Air podcast.
Yes, thank you. You were our first collab, so.
Very cool.
Hey,
See, you scratch our back, we scratch yours. So it works out. Bryar, I'm sorry that Shelby couldn't join us, but thank you for joining me as well. I know it's pretty late. We both got work in the morning, but I appreciate you sticking it out with us.
Get some sleep, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
And then for everybody else at home that's been listening, thank you for all of you that wrote in. Thank you for hanging out with us. Episodes of Retcon Air go live on the 1st and the 15th of every month. Color Me Geeked Podcast, when do you guys go live? How can they talk to you guys? I want to make sure that we plug you as well.
So you can find us on Twitch, YouTube. We typically post a video every Tuesday and every Saturday, depending on the topics. We like to hear from our community, and we like to just talk video games.
Very
also
cool.
books and movies.
So if you're into more gaming, books, and movie content, definitely check out the Color Me Geeked podcast. Jett and Sami are awesome. You've learned that along the way. Me and Bryar do stuff all the time. Shelby's getting ready to do Retcon Reads. There's a ton of content all over there, and we're trying to do our best to make sure that we are as non-toxic as possible. So enjoy us. Enjoy the Color Me Geeked podcast, non-toxic podcast for your listening pleasure. So thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. Thank you for listening. We very much hope that you and everybody else strive to become better, do more, and let's just start treating each other as better people. So that's it for this episode of Retcon Air. We'll catch you next time.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.